Hey everybody, welcome to Landscape Rescue. Today's video we are going to be talking about two very popular stump killers, Tordon and high yield Triclopyr ester. By the end of this video, hopefully I will have been articulate enough to relay to you the differences between the two, which one's going to be right for you, which situation is best to use them in safely. So let's get into it. First, I wanted to give you a safety disclaimer. I want to apologize to you because I am not the best about wearing safety goggles. I typically always have gloves, not always have a long sleeve shirt on. I'm very deliberate with chemicals. I do respect the chemical a lot. Don't think I've lured myself into a false sense of security with chemicals. I haven't. I'm just very deliberate. I don't think there's a whole lot of risk with me using a paintbrush to apply Tordon, but I'm not erring on the side of caution, am I? I err on the side of caution with how deliberate I am with chemicals, but not erring on the side of caution by using a long sleeve shirt and wearing some safety glasses. I wanted to apologize. I want you to be safe. I want me to be safe. I want to be a good example for you guys. So I did want to apologize with that. These chemicals are strong herbicides. They are not, you're not going to be spraying them all around nimbly bimbly like you're getting in an innocent gasoline fight. Do not do that. All right, there we go. That's the boring part of the show. So I want to talk about these two products right here. This is Tordon RTU, which stands for ready to use. Very, very popular, but it might not be available in everybody's state. So check your local regulations, find out if you're allowed to use Tordon. And then the other one is the high yield Triclopyr ester. I had mentioned they were different. They are. Let's talk about Tordon first. Tordon, just a quick little history. I think Dow Chemicals came up with this back in the 60s, so it's been around a while. It was very, very popular because it would stick around, right? And it would get into the roots. It's a systemic auxin that targets diquats. Very potent stuff. Sticking around in the soil is important with fence rows and that little annoying piece of dirt that you have between the house and the sidewalk. You might get some tree of heaven or, oh man, you name it, little oaks, little maple trees, things like that, and you can control it for a long period of time because it's a systemic herbicide. But it does stick around for a while. From what I'm reading, it's saying about a year. This will stick around for about a year, and it can travel. So if you remember the Tordon warning song from the Tordon video, keep it away from the rivers and streams. That's what we're talking about with Tordon. Tordon will move on you. Now, Triclopyr ester right here, this hasn't been around as long. So if you want to put a label on it, this would be a little bit more technologically advanced. This was developed in the 80s. And one of the things that makes it one of the most popular stump killers on the market, used by forestry departments for maintaining stands of timber, pine plantations, also a synthetic auxin which targets diquats. This is going to be a little safer. It doesn't stick around in the soil as long, about half as long. So from what I'm reading, 6 months. I'm so deliberate with chemicals, especially Tordon, that I'm literally applying it with a Q-tip. I don't have any issues with Tordon. Tordon was the only thing that I had at my disposal, even though Triclopyr was around. So I don't know, maybe it's personal preference. We're a little bit more on the technologically advanced side when we're talking about Triclopyr. It doesn't move in the soil. It has a tendency to bond with organic matter, so we don't have to worry as much. We still want to be good stewards, keep it away from the rivers and streams and runoff, but the likelihood is low if we're deliberate. Triclopyr can also be found in your local hardware store. Now, in my area, we can find Tordon. In a lot of states, you can't find Tordon. Triclopyr is what they use. And I can't say one is better than the other, but they're different. Now, Triclopyr, remember I said that it was a synthetic auxin that targets diquats. What is a diquat? Well, it's the difference between diquat and monocot. Di meaning two seed leaf, I think is what that means. Where a monocot is one seed leaf. Corn would be a monocot, where a string bean has two leaves that come out, two seed leaves, right? So two. Okay, so it's going to target woody shrubs and things like that. diquats. So like, how do you identify a monocot? How do you identify a dicot? So a monocot is going to have parallel veins on the leaf, like corn, like grass blades, where a dicot is going to have branching veins like a maple leaf. The roots of a monocot are going to be more fibrous, like a mop. So just picture a mop underneath the ground. That's a monocot. Where dicots usually grow a taproot that have branches on them. Just kind of think about that when you're applying this. Tordon might be a sledgehammer. Triclopyr is a scalpel, okay? Tordon is a United States infantryman who is going to take and hold ground. It's going to go in, it's going to whip somebody's butt, then it's going to stick around and wait for his friends to show up. That's Tordon. Triclopyr is a ranger battalion. They're going to go in, secure an airfield, they're going to go pull out, let the infantry guys hold it. That's kind of a military analogy. But if you'd like, use the sledgehammer scalpel one. That works out pretty good too. If I don't say so myself. We know what a diquat is. We know what a monocot is. That's why they can use Triclopyr in pine plantations. They can go in there and take out all the hardwood stuff. They can leave their stand of pole timber or Christmas trees or whatever they want to do. They use that a lot for this. Just read the label, right? And just be very careful, because the label is the law. You want to get down to it. You want to follow the label rate so you're within your legal bounds to use the product. We understand what a monocot and a dicot is, and that's what we're targeting is the diquats. Not diquat, dicots. Diquat is another type of chemical that you put in herbicides. That's kind of the rub. I'm anxious. I want to go kill some stumps with you guys. So just to recap, if you're using Tordon, you're going to be using Tordon if you're dealing with invasive junk trees, just crappy little trees all over the place. You have a woody lot that you mow and you have an issue with honey locusts and calorie pears and all other sorts of stuff that just hop up in feral fields when you blink your eyes. That would be a good idea to use Tordon, because it would lower your frequency that you need to use it, right? Because it would stick around for a while. Just remember, the persistence of Tordon can harm trees, ornamental trees that you want to keep. Okay, so this might not be perfect for the backyard. You're going to have to be, if you want to use Tordon, you're just going to have to be really, really careful. And you might have to do a couple applications, like let it resucker, hit it again with the Q-tip, and just kind of stay on it. But that's the thing about chemicals. They make our lives super, super easy. Now, if you were going to use Triclopyr ester, that would be a situation where you're in an ornamental situation, right? You have other trees, you're still going to be deliberate, but the other trees are not going to be in as much of a risk. What is a synthetic oxon? It hijacks those signals that the plant is using to tell an undefined cell how to grow. And it tells it to grow like a crazy person, all crazy and wiggly, and the leaves curl and just all sorts of stuff happens. It's very confusing to the plant because it's pretending to be a natural hormone, but it's not. It's a spy, and it's moving things all over the place. It's an inefficient way to grow. The tree, it's very efficient in the way it wants to grow. And so basically it starves to death because it grows itself to death. That's kind of how it works. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's probably a horrible thing to go through, but it is what it is. So that's Triclopyr ester as far as what is a synthetic oxon. There you go. That's what it is. Because I do have an older demographic, our population is getting older, my mom's getting older, I don't expect my mom to run around with a Sawzall cutting out little tiny stumps. What I do think my mom could do is go out there with a Sawzall, cut the stump down, put a little bit of Tordon in a container and go out there and with a Q-tip and put Tordon around, or a paintbrush or a foam brush, and put Tordon on that stump, and we're never gonna have to deal with it again. Okay, she could do the same thing with the ester, she would just have to mix it. Now the mix rate that, because this is concentrate, this isn't RTU. The mix rate that I'm using currently is a 30%. So I went on ChatGPT and I said, break this down in cups, right? So for every cup of water, how much Triclopyr would I need? And it said 2.5 tablespoons. So for stump killing, we're going to do 1 cup of water, 2.5 tablespoons of Triclopyr ester. And the reason I did that is because I know most people don't have to mix up an entire sprayer. They're not in their disabled veteran's backyard just cutting down all these trees and have literally hundreds of stumps to deal with. A lot of us are just dealing with 1 or 2. So worst case scenario, you're going to be out 2.5 cups and 1 cup of, I just use tap water. That's the mix rate that we're using for the Triclopyr. That being said, you can use this on honeysuckle. You can just be careful and be deliberate. I don't want to hear about somebody accidentally spraying through a fence, killing the neighbor's plants. Let's not do that. Let's still be deliberate. Okay, so what I've been doing back here with the honeysuckle, as I've been pulling it off the fence, I'm using my sickle bar, my long sickle bar, and I go and I trim everything off at the ground, and then I spray glyphosate on it. And it gets some of it, but it doesn't get all of it. So I'd like to go back, now that everything's close to the ground and starting to leaf out again, I'm gonna go back through with the Triclopyr to just nail it. In this particular situation, I don't have to worry about what's going in here. Okay, I just need to kill the stumps. I have talked to him, my veteran buddy of mine that I'm doing this pro bono for. I have talked to him. I find out he was really into grapes. I knew that years ago about him. Very smart guy. And I asked him if he wanted to if he wanted me to set up somewhat of a vineyard for him. He has the wire, he has the posts. Yeah, they were covered, these posts were covered up with grass and stuff like that, but they're still in really good shape. I could do that for him. I think that'd be a worthwhile challenge and some fun content for you guys. And he said, absolutely not. So he is done with the backyard. So my plan is, if we look at this big long fence row, my plan is to come through and just put about 6 foot of mulch really, really thick. And then that way I can come through here and I can just spray Triclopyr, I can spray a glyphosate, and I can just keep everything under control. He would have a little bit more space or a little less space to mow. I'll handle the grass side of things. But really it's just going outside with his mobility issues is just kind of a pain in the ass. And I get it 100%. So we're not doing anything, we're not replanting anything like this in the backyard. The front yard, I feel like I have carte blanche up there. We're not going to do anything back here. Okay, so let's look at some stumps. I hit up these stumps with Tordon last fall. So this stump we killed with Tordon last year. And that one did not resucker. This one I hit with Tordon did sucker, and so I cut it again just in one spot and use my Q-tip method. This one did not resucker. Some of these stumps I missed. You know, you start getting on a tangent and you just start going crazy, you just start cutting everything. I have had a little bit of regrowth. This is a Osage orange. I think it's an Osage orange. I would say it is. But check this out. This one is starting to sucker. These little guys right here. Now, they're all curled up. They look horrible. They don't look healthy. So we're just gonna see how this pans out. But they look sick to me. This is the actual stump. See, it's peeled away, all right? A lot of times it just requires a second treatment with the Tordon because we're not using very much at all. Being very, very deliberate, and we're targeting that cambium layer, and that's what these synthetic auxins do as stump killers, is they hijack that cambium layer. That's why it doesn't grow back, because it's sending crazy signals. The cambium layer has just been hijacked. How can it function? But if you don't use enough, which I would rather err on not using enough rather than using too much, I'm getting some suckers, which is no big deal. Once I kill the stump will rot relatively quickly because it's going to be a moist environment for good funguses to get into the stump. Just remember, killing a stump and decomposing a stump are two totally different things. You know what I like to do to decompose a stump? Once a stump is dead, I like to cut some hash marks in it and then cover it up with mulch. I've got some nitrogen to kind of get the ball rolling, but I completely cover it up with mulch. Maybe I'll put a flag on it or something so people can see it, but I like to, on my own properties, when I have time, I just basically cut it down to the ground, cover it with mulch so it's a nice moist environment for beneficial fungus, beneficial bacteria to just start munching on stuff. Those microbials know what to do. They'll do their job. Also wanted to show you some of this honeysuckle. So this is kind of a recap video. So if you can see, this is a big honeysuckle vine. And this is the main character in the story right here. This is the big boy. This was very, very thick. It's hard for you to see that, but, and then right here, it just keeps going. It keeps going, it's running into the yard and stuff, see? We see little suckers like this. That's probably the parent plant there. And see, little pieces are popping up. But it's manageable and it's safe now because it's on the ground. So the regrowth is on the ground. The regrowth isn't on the fence, right? So that's why I cut it down. I'm gonna let it regrow to about the point where it is now. You guys saw that. Then I'm gonna spray it with the Triclopyr. And that's going to work for me. It is what it is. I still need to trim these a little bit, but this is a stump that I cut and applied Tordon. It started to sucker, so I cut it again, a little lower. And that was a month ago, and it's done. We hope it's done. Same thing with these stumps here. See that stump right there? It's a cherry, and we know that cherries are relentless. These wild cherries, you cut it down, it will send 17 different branches up. It will sucker really good, and it likes to sucker in the ground. Same thing with that over there. I leave them a little high, so that way I can see if they're gonna sucker or not, and then it gives me the room to cut them again, see that viable tissue, right? If it's still around, that green cambium layer between the bark and the softwood, that green layer, and then I'll just put some more in there with a paintbrush or a Q-tip or for bingo, you can get some. I have some sitting in there. I haven't yet pulled them out of the Amazon, but I got some empty blotters for Tordon. So you can just blot it. It's like a foam brush, applicator, kind of all built into one, but it has a cap. And one of the commenters actually suggested that, and I thought, that is a fantastic idea. I'm gonna buy some. And I think in the comments, I was like, I just ordered some. This is such a fantastic idea. That's the cool thing about being part of a community, guys. There's good ideas out there, right? There's also some smarmy little dickheads out there I've noticed too. It's all right. There's good people. The good far outweighs 99% of the comments are good. I appreciate 99.9% of them. I went to Lowe's. I bought a new chainsaw blade for my chainsaw. I've been doing a lot of work in here. I just wore the damn thing out. I come in first thing in the morning. I'm gonna put it on the chainsaw. It's not big enough. Well, maybe I'm just dumb. So I compare it to the old chain. It's about 2 inches too short. So I go back to Lowe's and I said, look, man, I looked on the saw, the bar itself, it says 20 inches. This chain is not fitting. And he said, oh yeah, that's because people pull the 18s out and put it in the 20, and then they put the 20 and they put it in the 18, then they go purchase the 18 because the 18's cheaper. And I'm like, yeah, by like $4. Doesn't it seem like a lot of work for $4? I mean, I don't know why I'm talking about, I drive 30 minutes one way to go to a Lowe's so I can get $4 salvia, but whatever. All right, so that maybe that's not a lot of work, but I just seem like you got to break the seal, you got to do all that stuff and blah, 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 blah. So if you are buying chainsaw blades, just make sure the seal's not broken. That way you know what's actually in the container. Oh, what a silly life I lead. Let's go kill some stumps.
Logged on again, it's 2 a.m. Keyboard cowboy in the basement den. You said my mulch would burn down sheds, then called me dumb, bro, go to bed. All the troll things leaving OMGs, typing in the comments like claiming my facts are lies. Thanks for all the rage. my engagement. It boosts my engagement. Roundup's worse than World War III, and Triclopyr killed JFK. You link me Facebook science memes with Comic Sans conspiracy dreams. All the troll things leaving OMGs, typing in the comments like claiming my facts are lies. Thanks for all the rage, your post helps my page. Every time you vent, it boosts my engagement. It boosts my engagement. Boomer, doomer, typing gloom, waiting for that nuclear mush. Room 1414 is Judgment Day, in all caps he screams away. All the troll things leaving OMGs, typing in the comments like claiming my facts are lies. Thanks for all the rage, your post helps my page. Every time you vent, it boosts my engagement. It boosts my engagement. Na 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 na.
I've got a little bit more. This is really a pain in the butt because there is so many vines. Jeez Louise. So this is it. I'm almost done. I've done the whole yard. I've got giant piles of brush to get rid of. Probably gonna have to rent a grinder or pay an arborist to come out here and bring his grinder and grind it all up. That's how I'm killing stumps. Okay, if you've made it this far into the video, guys, I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna call it a day because I'm getting really hot and I would like to just go take a shower, relax for a little bit before bedtime, which is 8 o'clock for me because my little boy wakes up at 5 and I need my beauty sleep. So that's what I do. My name's Stuart Moore, everybody. This is Landscape Rescue, and thank you very much for letting me into your home talk about killing stumps.